Hey guys, welcome back to the final video of the series. So in this video we are going to work on styling our navbar and the overall styles in our page. So let's get to our style.css file. So we are going to start styling from top to bottom by styling our body tag first. We want to set a width of 100 VW and an height of 100 VH. And I want to set our margin to 0 and also our padding. We want to set it to 0. So that we want to set our line height to 1.5. So let's set our font family to Arial, vertical and sans serifs. So let's start with our background image. We'll set our background image to our music BG. We'll use our URL, go into the img folder and into our music image. So let's also set up the background size. We want to set the size to cover. We want to set the background position to the center. And let's set the background repeat to no repeat. Let's set the overflow so our page doesn't overflow. Let's set it to hidden and let's check it. Okay, this looks nice. Let's go back. So we want to work on our container class. Let's set the width of our container to 90%, so it gets pushed to the center, and a margin of auto. Let's set the nav to display flex and the height to 90 pixel. Let's set our nav brand. I want to set the width of 40 pixel to have the same width and the same height. The height should also be 40 pixels, so it is a square. We'll set the background color to cyan. Background color. Set the background color to cyan. And let's set the color to white. Let's set the margin top to push it down a bit to 20 pixel. So let's work on our nav brand and the H1. So we just need to push it down a bit. Let's set the margin to 3 pixels for the top and bottom and 10 pixels for the left and right. So we want to set our nav links. We want to style our nav links. We'll set the width to 100%, so it covers the whole space available to it. I want to set the display to flex. I want to justify the content to space between. Okay, so let's set the margin top. We want to push it down also. Let's set the margin top to 15 pixel. So let's work on our nav links, nav web. Okay, nav links, nav web, the UL. I want to set the list style type to none, and we want to set the padding to 0, so it has no additional padding. And I want to set the color to white. So let's set the nav links dot nav web ul and li. I want to target the list directly. So I want to set the display to inline. I want to push it all on the same line. I want to set the font weight to bold, just to make it a little bit bolder. To set the font size to 0.9 em. and to set the margin left, so there's a little spacing between them, to 20 pixels. Okay, so now let's set our nav social. We want to style our nav social. We set the display to flex. We set the padding, set the padding top to 10 pixels. Let's set our nav social. We want to set the width of 30 pixels and a height of 30 pixels. So let's set the margin left to 15 pixels, and we can set a semi-transparent background color of white to our nav social item class. Let's align the text to the center. Let's align the text to the center. And let's set the border to 1 pixel solid white. I want a solid white border. So let's set the border radius to 50%, so it is a perfectly round circle. Yes. So now let's work on the nav social item and the img. We just need to set the width of our image to 100%, so it completely fills it. So let's save and open our page. So this is what our page currently looks like. We've completely styled our nav bar, we've styled the links and the social icons. The links are obviously not clickable, likewise the social icon, but we have properly aligned everything. We use the display flex to align it to a straight line, and the web social we used inline settings. So now let's work on our section. So we want to target our section, say section. We want to set our width to 90 VW, and we want to set our height to same 90 VH, sorry. So we want to set the color to white, and we want to display it as flex. Okay, let's correct that. So we also want to justify the contents. We want to push it to the end, so we say flex end. We want it to the left, to the right, sorry. So say flex end. Let's set the float right style. Let's style the float right div. We want to set the width to 50%. We want to set the font weight to bold. We want everything in it to be bold. And let's set the font, the float right H1. I want to target the header tag, the float right. Let's set the font size to 3.5 rems, and we want to set the margin to 0. And let's set the line height to 1, so we minimize space. So let's set the float right paragraph. We want to set the margin to 0, and we set the form transparent class. Set the form transparent class. We want a margin. Let's set our margin top. Set our margin top to 30 pixels. Want to set our padding to 20 pixels. Want to set the background color to RGBA 0.5, and want to set the border to 1 pixel solid white. So let's not forget our colon. Okay, target everything in the form block class. So we say form block like this, so I will set the width to 100%. We'll set the margin bottom to 20 pixel to push every other thing down a bit. So we'll set the form split class. We'll display it as flex. We'll justify the content space between. We'll set the margin bottom to 20 pixel also. So now let's target the form split item class. We'll set the width to 48%, and we'll set the form split item. I will target everything in the form split item class. We'll set the width to 100%, so everything in it is completely 100%. So now let's set our select button. We want to style our select button. We want an height of 35 pixel. We want a margin top of let's say 5 pixel. We want a background color of RGBA with the 0.5 white 0.5. I want to set the color to white, and also we want to set the font weight to bold, and also the border, I want to set the border to 1 pixel solid white. Okay, so now let's set the option. We want to start the option. We want the background color. Want a background color of white, and want a color of cyan. And let's set the font size of our option to 1.1 em, and okay, I think that's it. And we want to set our input. Want to style our input. Want to target the type of text. So let's give it the same semi-transparent setting. We want our height to be 30 pixel. We want the margin top to be 5 pixel. We want our padding left to be 5 pixel, and want our background color to be RGBA with the 0.5 transparency. Let's set the color to white, and the font weight to bold. Also, we want to set the border to 1 pixel solid white. So let's have a look at, let's see what that looks like. Okay, so this is what our form looks like. The input is okay, but our form transparent class is not getting it. So let's see what's wrong. Okay, this is okay. I think the form is from, we are supposed to say form transparent. Okay, so let's save and see. Okay, so now everything looks fine. We have our form and everything is okay. Okay, so now let's work on the placeholder text. I want to say input. I'll use double colon. I will say placeholder. I want to set the color to white, so our placeholder is completely white. So now let's target the input of type submit, because that's what our button was. That's the type of our button. So we can set the padding to 12 pixel. Can set the background color to cyan, and we'll set the color to white. and let's set the border to none. We don't want no borders, and the font weight to bold. So let's save and see what this looks like. So now this is our form, very sleek and stylish. So that's what we have for. So our form is pretty much complete, but let's just add some additional styling for our inputs. We want our inputs, want to add an over effect whenever we over our inputs, or whenever our select button is in focus. We want to give it a border color of, want to set our border to a 1 pixel solid color. I want to set it to cyan. So whenever we move over our border, we want that cyan color. So let's save and see. So now whenever we move over our name, or whenever our select buttons are active, we get that cyan color. So this is pretty much all we have to do. I want to thank you guys for watching up to this point. If you got to this point, I want to say a big thanks. So this so I hope you really enjoyed this series. If you do, click the like button. If you want to see more content like this in the future, don't hesitate to click that subscribe button. So thank you all once again, and I will see you guys next time.